What do you mean it's a blink? What do you, Trump's not backing down in Minnesota? That's not what's going on. Folks, I got to correct you on this. They're going this morning door to door, looking for illegals, and it got Tom Homan there actually directing it. This is all of these headlines and all of this hand wringing that Trump is kowtowing to Tim Walz and the radicals is just manifestly false. All right, let's get to it. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the program. Good to be with you as always. Sam at what'srightshow.com. That is where you can send me your emails of complaint against Trump, right? Because I'm getting those. I'm fielding those. And people going, oh my gosh, this is, how can you give in to the terrorists? Nobody's giving in to anybody. Are you seeing ICE withdrawing from Minneapolis? Are you seeing Border Patrol ceasing its operations? If anything, they're doubling down. If anything, they've sent a more senior, in my opinion, probably the most competent Border Patrol agent officer in the country. If you don't believe in Tom Homan being effective, I don't know what to tell you. Now, I understand that the left wants the administration to back down. And that's the purpose of this insurgency, right? The purpose of these riots, of these uprisings, this highly organized targeting of federal officials, the efforts to get agents to cease and desist, create public pressure. This is an attempt at mob rule to nullify federal law. We have, and you can explain this to the left till they're blue in the face, we have federal law that was passed by Congress that is good law, meaning it has not been repealed, and the courts have not ruled it unconstitutional. Then we have, and this is as simple as it gets, the federal government enforcing that law. And what the left wants is to make enough noise, to cause enough drama, to put enough people in harm's way and have them be harmed and create tragic circumstances like those of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, so that it gets the federal government to say, okay, we're not going to enforce federal law. We're not going to enforce the laws of the United States. And imagine if we started doing this in all sorts of ways. Imagine if there was a conservative state that decided that gay marriage wasn't the law of the land. They weren't going to recognize it. And just decided to nullify that. I mean, this would really turn liberals the other way, I think. And when there would be agents of the federal government there to enforce it, they would just, together with the governor and with the mayor, allow those agents to be attacked, to be intimidated, in hopes that the federal government decides to not enforce civil rights law, for example. I mean, this is all just so basic and straightforward. Anyway, it is exactly like raising kids. Well, you can't give in to a temper tantrum, right? Parents, grandparents out there, back me up on this, right? We've all been through it. We've all had that moment with our kids where they insist on getting their way. And you say, no, you're not doing it. You can't have dessert before dinner. Okay? Whatever the rule is in the house, you're not going to do it. When they get older, we have a curfew. You have to be home by 10, whatever it is. And they'll push you. They push you when they're young. They push you when they're older. And it gets, by the way, easier when they're older if you've been consequential and firm when they're young. But regardless, you say no. No means no. And the minute that you give in, all hell breaks loose. We would cease being a nation of laws, and we would become a lawless place ruled by mobs. And whoever had the most thugs, whoever could exert the most pressure gets their way. Am I describing a functioning democracy to you? I don't think so, right? And I'll take you some of these clips today that have been just crazy things being said by the left. They know, by the way, they know that Trump's not a Nazi, and they actually know that they're not themselves advocates for a true democracy. They're advocating for one thing and one thing only, and that is their own raw political power. That's what they're all about. Now there's so much going on today. Big news. Let's roll through our top 5. I want to get to these earlier if I can. I just so much to address and get at. So number 5, Mexico blinked. That's right. Claudia Sheinbaum, president of Mexico, said that her country is pausing all oil shipments to Cuba. This is Mexico doing everything Trump wants them to be doing, at least as it relates to Cuban policy. And mere weeks ago, Claudia Sheinbaum was thumbing her nose at the U.S. So things apparently looking different. Now, number 4, Barry Weiss. I don't consider Barry Weiss a big conservative. Some people do, but certainly more conservative than anyone who has run CBS News in recent history. She held a town hall meeting, internal town hall meeting, bunch of CBS News staffers and on-air talent. And in it, Barry Weiss said, quote, "We are not producing a product enough people want." All right. Well, no crap. Of course, Captain Obvious here. I mean, they keep shoving liberal garbage down our throats, and they expect people to tune in and get all excited about it. Number 3 news story, the winter storm moving toward New York. About 1 million people and businesses, homes and businesses are out of power. This has just been an enormous cataclysmic event. Many people have died. So it's just not getting, and all the other stuff going on, not getting enough coverage, but hasn't affected us here in Las Vegas, but certainly many of you around the country listening have had the storm affect you, and we certainly hope that you are safe. Number 2, this is huge. The FBI today, this morning, executed a search warrant at the Fulton County, Georgia election office. And this is in connection with the 2020 vote. Now, what is this all about? So, well, Fannie Willis, remember her? And lover boy Nathan Wade, they were thorns in the side of Trump in the interregnum period between the time that Trump left office in 21 and came back as president as 2.0, Trump 2.0 in January of 2025, went after Trump with everything they had, and it fell apart spectacularly. But this is a search of the 2020, some of the shenanigans around the 2020 vote. So just absolutely, again, to all of you saying not enough is happening, things aren't being done, just wait, things are actually happening. And of course, number 1 news story, which I have some thoughts on, this guy, Anthony Kazmirchak, sprayed some liquid on Ilhan Omar during her town hall last night. And Trump, you gotta love Trump. Trump comes out and gets asked about this by Rachel Scott, news babe, as Rush would call her. Rachel Scott gets asked, so, hey, Mr. President, have you had a chance to see the video? Have you seen the video? And Trump says, no, I don't think about her, meaning Ilhan Omar. I think she's a fraud. I really don't think about that. She probably had herself sprayed, knowing her. President then said, according to Ms. Scott, that he repeated again that he hadn't seen the video. Nope. And I hope I don't have to bother. Close quote. And this has caused a stir. I mean, the mainstream media are beside themselves, saying that Trump is discounting the fact that a member of Congress got attacked. that Ilhan Omar got some stuff sprayed on her in a press conference. Okay. I want to take this apart for you and give you exactly what my thoughts are as of today. Now, bear with me, right? There's a lot of information we still don't know, but I'll give you my thoughts on this because, I'm kind of with Trump on this. Okay. I'm kind of with Trump. So hang tight. I'll tell you what I think. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network, the What's Right Show brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. 800-304-2000. That's the number to call. Don't wait. Don't hold off. If you've been hurt, the only law firm to trust, Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
I'm the best.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time.
The best.
Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
I love when leftists self-own themselves and prove my point in almost in every way. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. So I saw this tweet online from a person who got involved with a heavily intoxicated woman. Now, I'm just going to read this, okay? A heavily intoxicated woman sideswiped my guy's car and took off. He had to chase her down to get her to stop. Her only form of ID was a card from the Mexican consulate. Now, that's a little suspicious, right? This is taking place in LA, by the way. Los Angeles, California. And I, Sam Mirejovsky, as Nevada's favorite recovering Californian, know a thing or two about driving in LA. And it blows, okay? And it blows in part because there's so many illegals. And they all drive like SHI, you know what? It's horrible. So this guy, okay, of course she's illegal, but pulls out a Mexican ID. Now, here's why I'm telling you, this is a cell phone. She asked, meaning the woman with the illegal lady, she asked if we could handle things privately without getting insurance involved because she could not afford to lose her insurance. She had no ID. Now this was this nice lady here, nice liberal lady in LA. We didn't want her to get deported or arrested. This, of course, she's driving drunk. She's hitting people. All right. We didn't want to get her deported or arrested. Now here comes the good part. What do you think happened here? How does this story end? It's not good. She didn't follow through, surprise, and we ended up having to go through insurance. And now this, by the way, this is what I always tell you for Sam and Ash Injury Law, right? You think I'm just, this is puffery. It's not. Literally, this is some random person on the internet. We got $847. We paid $2,500 for the damage. She's upside down. What is that? Well, a solid $1,700, right? Plus, she's down almost $2,000 going through insurance with an illegal immigrant that hit their car. Okay. They try to be nice. They try to go through, whatever. And look, and this is it. And this is a great we are all paying the price every day for people to live here illegally without having to adhere to the same laws and face the same consequences. Yeah. 100%. And by the way, this lady's name is Amy. Amy, listen up. Never, 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 right? Go at it alone. Not only is the illegal that hit you gonna screw you, but the insurance company that they're gonna screw you too. Okay, guaranteed. Anyway, it's just the whole thing is maddening. And by the way, if this happens to you, samandashlaw.com. Check out the website. Call today, 800-304-2000, 800-304-2000. It's my firm. Hire a conservative lawyer, okay? Trust me, you'll be better off. And most importantly, do not do it alone. And be careful out there. And you know, if somebody gives you a Mexican consulate ID, like what? I mean, well, no, it does not say it's not a consular officer like this. A consular officer, somebody here that is working for the country of Mexico and has consular ID, has a diplomatic passport. Okay, like that person will have the police show up to do a report and everything, and they can't even be touched. Right? There's a pretty extensive immunity involved there. So that's not what happened here. All right. Here's what I think. I'm going to come right out and say it. I watched the video. Here's my question. Ilhan Omar, right, last night having a press conference, town hall meeting, she gets up there and she is saying something about Trump. Okay, here's how it started.
ICE cannot be reformed. It cannot be rehabilitated. We must abolish ICE for good. And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment.
And now somebody gets up and points like a...
I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
Starts spraying something on her, and she runs toward him. She runs toward him. And then guess what? Then she just continues the press conference. Now, I don't know. What would you do if you were a public figure or anybody, right? If you're you and suddenly some deranged wacko sprays an unknown substance on you? I'm going to tell you what I would do. I would immediately go to the nearest hospital because I don't know if that has poison. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I have no idea how dangerous or not this substance is. And in the event that it is something toxic, I would want to be immediately in a hospital setting. The only time that I would go, no big deal, and keep talking is if I knew what the substance was, right? That's my question. Right? I'm not saying, it could be that Ilhan Omar is just dumb, and that's also true, right? It could be that in her world, she gets sprayed with suspicious brown substances all the time, and this is nothing, nothing new. What are you laughing at, Robbie? I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying, it's of all the things, compared to Mogadishu, this is, nothing. So walk in the park. I don't know. I would be freaked out is my point. I would be absolutely freaked out. And the fact that she isn't kind of is suspicious to me. Okay? Like it just is. Now there's a bigger component of this than the incident itself. And that is the media trying to blame Trump for it happening. And maybe this is why I'm so suspicious of this thing and why it, could very well be a setup, because on cue, all the mainstream media has rushed in to basically claim that Trump brought this about. Well, here's a clip of what he said. Here, this is one of the things that they're claiming is the root cause for this attack.
They have to show that they can love our country. They have to be proud. Not like Ilhan Omar. Did you see that wise guy? She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with the following. The Constitution, she comes from a country that's a disaster. It's considered, I think, it's not even a country, okay? It barely has a government. I don't think it does.
But they get to call people Nazis. They get to call people all sorts of fascists. You know, they get to compare the federal government enforcing federal law to the SS and the Gestapo going door to door and arresting Jews and putting them in concentration camps. They get to do that. And Trump says this about Ilhan Omar, and all of a sudden, you know, some wacko attacking her is his fault? I don't think so. All right, folks, be right back. Don't go anywhere. More of the What's Right show up next. Rarely wrong, always right. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Friends, good to have you. Good to have you here today on the program. I'm frustrating. I know. Well, this is I know. Well, we're following, of course, the incident yesterday. The brown liquid that was sprayed on Ilhan Omar last night. By the way, Minneapolis police quickly identified the suspect and arrested him, which is amazing. This guy attacked a member of Congress and, basically a federal agent, right, if you will, an officer of the United States, attacks a congresswoman. And Minneapolis PD sprang into action immediately took care of this guy. I'm pleased to report that. Third-degree felony assault charge. Yeah, I like this. Mike Davis has a right take. Big MAGA guy, constitutional attorney extraordinaire. He's curious why they're charging him so quickly at the state. This is as an attack on a member of Congress, federal crime. The DOJ has to investigate this, right? The FBI's got to interview the suspect. They've got to get on it. Well, watch to see if the state authorities want to take care of this guy themselves. Well, that would suggest, of course, that there's something else to him. And by the way, throw the book at him. If this is a legitimate attack on a congressman, if this was intentional, if this guy truly is a wacko, whatever his political leanings are, by all means, throw the book at him. Do it. Put him in jail. I mean, this just can't let this happen. I don't care who you are. I don't care if Ilhan Omar or Marjorie Taylor Greene. Everybody deserves to be protected. How the Washington Post reported this, though, is the real story, in my view. Quote, Trump has, in recent months, used racist and dehumanizing rhetoric to attack Somali migrants, often singling out Omar, the first Somali and one of the first Muslim women to be elected to Congress. The Washington Post added earlier Tuesday, Trump had again publicly assailed Omar at an event in Iowa. Now, I played the clip just before the break. He's going at her. But bear in mind, right? Ilhan Omar and all these leftists can call Trump a Nazi. They can beat the drum that ICE is Trump's Gestapo. But the minute that Trump says anything controversial in the least, all hell breaks loose and it's a bridge too far, right? This to me is so pathetically weak, right? And nonsensical. You know, there's the Democrats out there are. What do you mean? Of course, and this goes back now. This kind of rhetoric goes back years, and they're proud of it, right? I mean, J.B. Pritzker just yesterday went on Jennifer Welch's I've Had It podcast and was boasting that he's been calling Trump a Nazi before it was even cool. Imagine that being your claim to fame. Listen to this.
Maybe you heard about a year ago, I think it got a lot of national play when I talked about defending Illinois and the fact that we're living in a world that looks a whole lot like the early 30s in Germany.
Yeah.
And, people on the right, attacked me and said, how dare you? How dare you? People on the left were quiet and didn't back it up. Now, what do you know? 12 months later, well, a lot more people anyway among Democrats are saying, yeah, this feels like Germany in the 1930s. And of course, Republicans just won't own it.
He's so brave. Also so smart. So much there to Governor Pritzker. And remember, folks, Pritzker is important in the sense that, one, he's the governor of Illinois. That's an important position in and of itself. He also is obviously running. He's on the short list of people that are throwing their hats in or will throw their hats in 2028 to be the Democratic nominee. So this guy is not somebody to be ignored. Here's the DA in Philadelphia, Philly. Okay, Larry Krasner. This guy, more Nazi rhetoric, right? And I'm just playing this here to make my case, right? Now, Trump, we can't criticize anybody. If we criticize people coming here from Somalia with a 95%, 96%, of those arrested for fraud in Minnesota are from Somalia. If we say that, we're racist. But Philly DA, the chief law enforcement officer of a major U.S. city, can say something like this.
This is a small bunch of wannabe Nazis. That's what they are. In a country of 350 million, we outnumber them. If we have to hunt you down the way they hunted down Nazis for decades, we will find your identities. We will find you. We will achieve justice.
Well, isn't that lovely? We will hunt you down like we hunted down the Nazis. I guess, right, we're going to get the Mossad on that, and bundle up Tom Homan like Adolf Eichmann. These people are retarded. What is this? And again, ICE is enforcing existing federal law. We have to keep saying this. ICE is enforcing existing federal law. Folks, not that long ago, and I'm talking to Democrats here, bear with me. I have to say this slowly because they don't always catch on so quick. You guys had the presidency, you had the Senate, and you had the House of Representatives. Why, if you really don't like the tactics that you're seeing right now, and you didn't like that the kids were, quote unquote, in cages in Trump's first term, you had an opportunity to change immigration law. Why didn't you do it? If you believe in democracy, you had the power. Well, look, don't look at me. I mean, maybe you're too busy going after Trump. Maybe Trump derangement syndrome got the best of you and you forgot your own priorities. I don't know. My gosh, I'm not a Democrat, strategist, but it seems to me that you don't have a lot of democracy high ground to miss an opportunity to make changes to the law that would have protected your precious feral pets, aka illegal immigrants. But now you want to, via mob rule, nullify federal law. What the hell is this? Makes no sense to me. So maybe you can translate it. Here's a congressman. This guy's from Massachusetts, par for the course, Seth Moulton. More Nazi talk and ICE. None of this is, of course, at all inflammatory.
I don't think that the comparisons with Nazi Germany are extreme, because that's what happened too. That's why ordinary German citizens began to accept the idea that certain members of their community would be singled out. I mean, they have ICE tip lines, would be directly targeted in violation of the laws of the land, and it would be done as by agents of the state. But that's what's happening today.
Oh, tip lines. And meanwhile, they're going and 70% or more of the illegals arrested thus far have some serious criminal history. And every day we blink, we have some illegal somewhere that either killed somebody drunk driving, there's a robbery, there's some other high-level felony that's occurring. And again, I hate to be the lawyer here and explain but for causation, but here goes again.
Well, Americans, they kill people too, and they murder people and they drive drunk.
Yes. If a drunk driver kills my son, it is that drunk driver that killed my son. And if that drunk driver was an illegal immigrant and shouldn't have been in the country and was in the country but for the leniency provided him or her by Joe Biden and the Biden administration, for example, or via a sanctuary city or state, then I, causation-wise, can trace my child's death directly to that policy. I can tie it to illegal immigration being tolerated. And the same goes is true for rape, as any other crime, property crimes, murder, etc. But for that person being in the country, this never would have happened. I'm just, because people will say, "Oh, Sam, you make it seem like there's no fraud in Minnesota. It's only the Somalis." Yeah, but a whole lot of fraud. And by the way, if it turns out that only half of the, call it 10 billion plus at this point, I think it's more like 15, 20, number keeps growing. Whatever the number is, only half of it was Somalis. Well, get them all. Get them out of here. What the hell? It's a lot of fraud in a small community of people. Seems perhaps not best suited immigration-wise for our needs here in the U.S. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network, the What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law. In a crash, call Sam & Ash 800-304-2000. Offices in Nevada and California. Doesn't cost any money up front. Get legal help. Get it today. Sam & Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. Well, I'm talking about it with Robbie here during the break. I would be freaked out if somebody sprayed a syringe of something on me. I would be I would assume the worst, and that's a reasonable assumption. I mean, who would just spray some sugar water at you, right? I mean, if somebody's spraying you with something, the presumption is if it's an attack, it's harmful, right? Oh, this whole thing is just so bizarre to me. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Friends, gird your loins. Things are happening. This, our top five, number 2, the Fulton County raid. How do you feel about that, by the way? Be honest. Those of you who have recently sent me emails expressing concern that Donaldus Maximus is not moving as quickly as he ought to be, is not aggressively investigating the Democrats to your liking. How do you feel about this now? And I understand. It's just a raid. But isn't it great? Because remember back in 2020, and this was kind of the thrust of the stolen election claim. It was all the funny votes and the monkey business that happened down in Fulton County. Fulton County, Georgia, is a liberal Democrat hotspot. And remember, that's one of my favorite things. We went over this, of course, extensively as it was happening here on the What's Right show. Fannie Willis and lover boy Nathan Wade. Remember, he was the guy she was having a little thing with, and he's a lawyer, has a big fancy firm, and she paid him gobs of money, I think close to $700,000, of taxpayer funds to work as a, well, not as a consultant, but basically as an adjunct lawyer, as a outside lawyer on this Trump investigation, election interference investigation. And no, I'm just telling you that this was a thing. And then, Trump, next thing you know, he gets arrested down there, has to show up, get his mugshot taken. Alvin Bragg is all upset that, and Letitia James that she's stealing their thunder down there in Fulton County because they wanted to get Trump too, and all this stuff back and forth. Now, remember that the most brilliant thing that the Democrats did, and it's what every communist does, right? The communists, the true communists, will always accuse his opponent of doing the very thing they themselves are engaged in. So the communists, for example, come to power in a country and immediately accuse people who have built the country of stealing from the country and stealing from society, and then use that as a means of to take away all their property. Okay. The communists are the thieves, is my point, right? The communists are literally stealing stuff, but they're going, you're the thief, and as a consequence, we're going to punish you by stealing your stuff. But they put it in a nice package, and people get very excited about it, particularly the type of person that votes for someone like Zohar Mamdani. But I digress. What happened in 2020? Now that we look at it with clear eyes, now that we step back from it, it really was magnificent. The Democrats claimed that Trump was stealing the election. They claimed that Republicans were stealing democracy from right under our very noses. Meanwhile, they were doing it. They did it. They already knew they had done it. And then they went, as if it wasn't enough, they really had to tempt fate. Well, they really had to make sure they drove the point home by prosecuting Trump and others and ruining lives. Now I care about what happened to Trump, but I had my own friends caught up in this mess. We have had him a few times here on the program, John Eastman, my good friend, former law professor and dean at Chapman Law, where I went to school, was one of Trump's lawyers. And I mean, there's still the state bar in California is still effing with John. They are still on, and when, guess what? It may very well turn out, and I talk this way because I have my own suspicion of what things are and how they are, but the evidence is gonna, this raid this morning is certainly gonna help shed some light on things. The evidence, I believe, will show that it was all rigged. So the evidence will show that, may very well show that John Eastman was 100% right in everything that he claimed, in everything that he advocated for as the attorney for the president, and that the retaliation against him was a deliberate attempt to ruin his life because he did the one thing the Democrats wanted to prevent, which is give Trump sound legal counsel and a means by which to refute their thievery and their fraud. They did that. They went after the president's lawyers. They made it wasn't about John Eastman. It was making sure that no credible lawyer who had a nice house, a vacation home, $2-3 million in the bank, college fund for his kids, made that lawyer go represent Trump. Yeah, he might be right, but this is toxic. I'm going to lose everything. They're going to arrest me. I'm going to lose my license. And that is what, and I'm bringing this up in light of all this Nazi talk. The same people that are running around calling Trump a Nazi, okay? These are the people that engaged in the most psychotic, statist, totalitarian tactics I haven't seen since the communists took over my parents' country. And I grew up listening to those stories. These people. Literally. And And, folks, some of you have been with me for a while here, in the wake of the 2020 election and January 1st, I was a little bit sour on Trump. I'm not going to lie. It was just turning into a little bit of a hot mess. And I'm a person that needs to see evidence. Show me the evidence, show me the proof. And there were enough Republicans out there that I presumed were of sound-minded body and had some, honor and character that said there was no there there. Boy, was I wrong. I tell you guys, I'm always right, rarely wrong. I was wrong. And and that is, well, I'm just telling you straight up, I'm not going to be always honest with you here, folks. But and that's why now when Ilhan Omar gets sprayed with the substance, is like, let's keep talking. I don't believe anything that they do anymore. Nothing. These people are liars. Everything is a skit. Everything is a performance. Everything is a con. They're conning us. They're conning you. They're conning their own people. They're conning Renee Good and Alex Preddy to give their lives up. People are despicable. Sam Mirejovsky on the What's Right Media Network. Back after the top of the hour. Hang tight, folks. Be right back. Rarely wrong, always right. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Friends, welcome to the program. Sam@whatsrightshow.com is my email. Now, I have to share this with you here, and it's a bit of a long audio, a long listen. But when I tell you that these insurgent tactics, these quote-unquote protests in Minnesota aren't spontaneous, I can play now something for you that really underscores this point. There is a guy, Cam Higbee is his name. Cam Higbee is a citizen reporter, and he posted this last night. He was able to infiltrate one of the signal groups that is doing these neighborhood patrols, right? And so he's rolling around town, essentially connected, dialed in to these people, and he's got 3 minutes of audio from this particular group, is the South Side Patrol. The insurrectionists operating on the south side of the Twin Cities area. Now, a couple of things transpire during this call, and I'll take you through it. One, they at one point start accidentally chasing one of their own people, thinking they're ICE. They're sending and deploying units after people. They're assigning patrols. They're talking about tactics like co-piloting. I'm going to play this because it's really something else.
Yeah, don't engage 316. We're going to let those other 6 cars figure it out.
Dispatch, this is River. That white wagon
using
here
code
just
names,
went on to 62 East.
numbers.
I'm peeling off.
What is it?
Thank you very much, River.
There. Northbound on Bloomington currently with people in tow.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Chris.
Is there anywhere that we should head now, dispatch, to be most helpful?
Since you're all the way down there, if you just wanted to kind of take a peek in the Diamond Lake neighborhood, I think that Richfield covers that, but might as well while we're over there.
Okay, copy that.
So they got dispatch, right? This is clearly this is like like listening to a police frequency. Okay? They've got this thing organized. If tomorrow you and your neighbors, and you're a competent person, right? You know your stuff. You and your neighbors tomorrow had to, fight against communist insurgents that stormed through your neighborhood, let's say, okay? How quickly would you be able to spool something like this up? Not that quickly. Anyway, continues.
Like DHH Church in the surrounding neighborhood.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we need to figure. That's the.
You dispatch, this is Marva.
Hey, can I Illinois 277664. 277664.
Is that a plate check?
That is a plate check.
Okay, it is.
And they're checking license plates. What is this? They've created a database of plates. Do they have access to the DMV records? And if they have access to the DMV records, who's given them that access? There are significant criminal penalties for misusing police assets like that are limited for official and law enforcement use.
It's negative.
It is negative.
Do you have a passenger?
What was that?
Do you have a passenger, and what's your handle?
This is PJ. I'm in a car. I am a passenger. This car that
Are you in a Subaru?
Yeah.
We are in the
That
Subaru.
car in front of you is not ICE. It's our friends.
Heard. Okay. We just noticed them glowing red, so we just wanted to check. Thank you.
Yeah.
They've been chasing one of their friends this whole time. Okay.
Hey, dispatch. This is Mermaid Ashtray. I'm just signing.
What? This is Mermaid Ashtray? Is that his code name? Hi, dispatch. This is Mermaid Ashtray. This is for real? I'm sorry I'm playing. I know it's a little tedious, but this is great material, no? Let's see what Mermaid Ashtray needs to report here from the scene.
Signing back on. I'm in a commuter. I'm currently at the Midtown Marketplace. My co-pilot did wake up sick today, so I don't have them. I'm fine commuting alone, or if someone's around wants to commute with me, that's cool too. Ready to go where you need.
Cool. Mermaid Ashtray, how would you feel about being stationary at Lake in Chicago for a little bit, if you can find a good spot to post up with visibility?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, cool. Let me know when you have a good spot, and certainly let me know if you see anything.
Poor Mermaid Ashtray is going to be posted up for a little. Hey, Mermaid Ashtray, you mind being stationary there? We need a lookout. Robbie, I can smell these people through the tape. I mean, how many nose piercings do you think is going on in the scene? The hair color. By the way, is there a single Starbucks in Minnesota right now that's manned? I hate to use a sexist term like that, but I think you know what I mean. The baristas have all left. That's actually a larger point here. Wait, where do these people find the time? Where do, again, I think the reason is a lot of these people are getting paid. So these NGO groups, non-governmental organizations are coming in and they're actually financing this, right? People are checking in as they would for a job. But, but who has time to not work? Who doesn't have steady work? I mean, nobody that I know. Well, maybe not entirely true, but people I'm friends with certainly would not have the time to drop everything and immediately start going on patrol. What's the end of this? I don't want to miss anything good. Roll the tape.
Copy that.
This is Ken, just an FYI. We got a lot of people honking on Hiawatha, but it's because people are waiting for the train to go up to the protest. So just be wary of that.
Yeah, okay. Classic.
Friendly honking. Supportive honking. Not the kind of honking to alert people that ICE agents are present. Okay, that's the end of the tape. I love that Cam Higbee got this. This is just great stuff, right? So when your friends tell you, oh, it's not organized, it's all spontaneous, code names, numbers, watch patrols, somebody's coordinating this from Central Command, they've got a map, GPS coordinates, right? They got everything. This is like a dragnet. And the purpose behind this is, again, plain and simple. The federal agents out there enforcing federal law are to be stopped, are to be interfered with. This isn't protest. This isn't a group of protesters exercising their voice, sharing their opinion that they're against this policy. Which, of course, I mean, I'll die on that hill. They've got every right to do that. So I would, fully endorse, it's not a free speech thing, though. It's not. These are insurgency tactics. And this is an effort to, I don't know how else to put this, but overthrow the federal government and kick them out of the state, which functionally means to nullify federal law. It's wild. Now, Tom Homan, he's doing the interviews and he's going, look, we're just going to get back to the basics here. We're going to continue doing what we're doing. And by the way, we're going to form our own database of these people and make them famous.
Who want to, say, follow ICE, and film ICE. You know what? You can protest. They have that right. But when you cross that line, and we've proven it, if you interfere or impede or assault an ICE officer, you will be prosecuted. And one thing I'm pushing for right now, Laura, we're going to create a database. Those people that are arrested for interference, impediment, assault, we're going to make them famous. We're going to put their face on TV. We're going to let their employers in their neighborhoods, in their schools, know who these people are. Because as you said, a lot of these people, they say they're taking time off work to protest. I bet you a lot of them are calling in sick. I bet you a lot of their employers don't know what they're doing. But we're going to make sure everybody knows who they are. We're going to broadcast. They want to broadcast the ICE officer that was nearly killed all over the internet. We're going to broadcast every one of these people we arrest.
There you go. Again, everybody's saying Trump blinked or he's backing down. Hogwash. All right, quick break. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Friends, I'll be back in a moment.
The Sam and Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
Hi, Sam Mirejovsky here for Sam and Ash Injury Law. Let me tell you this straight, folks. Just like I shared last hour, it's absolutely common for you, if you get into an accident, you get injured, and you try to go through the official channels, through the insurance company, to get screwed. And to boot, it's going to cost you hours and hours of your time. Emails, documents, you're going to have to send them faxes. Who even sends faxes anymore? Anyway, get some faxes, text messages. You're going to give recorded statements. You're going to do all this stuff, and at the end of it, you may very well end up thousands of dollars in the hole, all for something you didn't cause. That wasn't your fault. It's maddening. Don't be a victim twice. Call Sam and Ash Injury Law today, now. If you've had an accident, your loved one, family member, anybody, let them know it doesn't cost any money up front. You will end up in a better financial position when everything is said and done. All right? That is clear. 800-304-2000. 800-304-2000. samandashlaw.com. No recovery, no fee, no money up front. Offices in Nevada and California, because you deserve what's right. Now, welcome back, folks, to the What's Right show, brought to you by Sam and Ash. Great to be here, folks, as always. All right, welcome back to the What's Right show. Sam Mirejovsky here. Great to be here, as always, with each and every one of you. Oh, this beautiful day. Sam@what'srightshow.com is my email. Now, I have to brag about this just briefly, if I can. I've been telling you now for a week and a half, 2 weeks, every time that they're criticizing Tom Homan, that remember, Tom Homan got the big award from Obama. I've mentioned it a few times here. Well, maybe she heard me, but here's Caroline Leavitt yesterday from the White House press briefer holding up a picture of exactly that ceremony when Obama bemedaled. Can I say that? Can I say bemedaled? Placed a medal, a presidential award around the neck of Tom Homan. It's all on film, and she held up the photographic evidence with this.
This is a Washington Post headline from 9 years ago, 2016. Meet the man the White House has honored for deporting illegal immigrants. And I would remind everyone in this room that it was former President Barack Hussein Obama who awarded a medal to Mr. Homan. So he's obviously very qualified. He has the full trust and faith of the president. He will continue to have these meetings in the hopes that ICE and local law enforcement can cooperate and work together to have successful immigration enforcement, as we've seen in almost every other state across the country.
Just putting that there. Now, oh boy, the 3 minutes of the insurrectionists on that chat made me think of something. And Robbie, you're right. This is a great callback to Bowling Alone. This is Robert Putnam wrote a book in 2000 called Bowling Alone, The Collapse and Revival of American Community. And the argument in the book is that basically social engagement has really declined, has deteriorated. People have given up participation in traditional, long-standing social groups, be it, being part of an Elks Lodge or going to church, being part of a religious congregation. And so they don't have any sense of belonging, but they crave that. We're naturally social people, and human beings need that sense of belonging. And I think what you're seeing among these leftists that are out there engaged in this cause, and you look at Alex Preddy, you look at Renee Good, for example, the two protesters, insurrectionists, whatever you want to call them, that tragically lost their lives. You see that these people wanted to belong to some cause. And the tragedy of leftism is that it took away these institutions, right? It took away religion, because we're going to talk about religion. God is nothing, it's meaningless. We chased God out of everything, out of schools, out of public meetings. No God. Can't have God. And then certain groups, gosh forbid, the Elks Lodge. That was a bunch of racists. I remember growing up hearing my teachers talk to me about the Elks or the Freemasons. Oh my gosh, the Freemasons. Right? It's just a constant harangue against all this stuff. And a cynic might come out and say to himself, it's almost as if the left wanted to disconnect people, human beings, from things that bind them to tradition and to satisfaction and to emotional well-being, that they wanted to unplug that so that these people would lose their mooring and be discombobulated emotionally, culturally, right? Socially. And then be vulnerable fodder for them to amp up and engage into whatever revolutionary activity was necessary on any given day. It's a cynic might think this, right? So I think it bears mention, and this is why. One of the things that gives me great hope is I see American youth, and particularly young men in this country, starting to seek out religion, starting to seek out men's groups, starting to seek out, positive sort of, cultural institution type reinforcement in their lives. And I think it's tremendously important. And, here's the challenge, right? I'm going to get personal here with you for a minute. I'm such an individualist. Robbie, did I tell you what I have to do this Christmas? Have I told you what's coming up for me at the end of the year? Well, I don't want to complain about it. I want to be nice, okay? But my wife's family she's one of 5 siblings, right? A family from Utah, big Mormon family. And we're going to we're all going to get together and they're trying to figure out what we could do, where we could all be. Like renting a house would be next to impossible. People of different means. So the decision was made to go on a cruise. Now, it's my idea of a living hell, right? Being trapped on a boat with 6,000 people. I mean, that is not for me. I'm an individualist. I like to do things by myself, and I'm very okay with that. But even I, as an individualist, want to enjoy the company of a select group of people. But I also, as an individualist and a kind of a maverick, I would say in many ways, I recognize that institutions, I'm not talking about a cruise ship here, okay? That was maybe a bad example, but institutions like churches, religion at large, social clubs, things like that, are enormously important on bringing people together. And I can see the fragmentation in our society and everybody lamenting it. We're so divided. But the people complaining about it are the people that have fomented the division. It's much in the same way as the people that are yelling Nazi, Nazi, Nazi are then getting the vapors when there's a little bit of rhetoric coming their way. They're yelling Nazi and they're surprised that there's an outburst of violence, that people are lunging at cops while armed with guns or hitting police officers. Oh my, the left has really done a number on us. They really have. Okay, bottom of the hour. I'll be back. Don't worry. Still a half hour left here. Sam Mirejovsky behind the What's Right microphone. Don't fret. More of the show up next. Sam Mirejovsky behind the What's Right microphone. I am Nevada's favorite recovering Californian. Great to be here with you. Sam@whatsrightshow.com is my email. This hour brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law. This is the law firm to call for your injury case. Do not wait. I'm saying it for the umpteenth time. You get hurt, get in an accident, don't wait. Call Sam & Ash today. Sam & Ash Injury Law, 800-304-2000, 800-304-2000, because you deserve what's right. There's a teacher placed on leave. A teacher placed on leave after he posted a Facebook message of support for ICE. He wrote, "Go ICE." He is a West Chicago teacher at a school called Gary Elementary. He put this on his own private Facebook page last week, and the superintendent sent a message basically saying, look, hey, we've placing this person on administrative leave. And here's the mayor of West Chicago talking about this. Now, I'm just placing this here for a very important reason. Listen to this first.
Many of you know that this week there was an incident where an employee at one of our schools in District 33 made a social media post cheering on the activities of ICE. And it was extremely hurtful and offensive to many people in our community. And let me just, first of all, explain why that is so hurtful and offensive. Because some people have asked, don't teachers have First Amendment rights? Can't they have political opinions? And yes, of course they can. Teachers can have political opinions. They can express their political opinions in appropriate ways. What makes this different is this. This school district, the school where this happened, we have multiple students who have lost their mom or dad in the last few months in these ICE raids.
Okay. The problem here with the left is when it comes any issue. And remember that during the Biden administration, they wanted to appoint a disinformation czar, somebody who, Nina Jankowicz, who would literally decide what information is true and which information is not true. It's all about indoctrination. If you say something that is your personal belief, you're only entitled to share that belief if they've decided that it's factually correct. Now, I'm a product of public school, so this to me is particularly funny that what this mayor is saying, because I grew up with teachers constantly politicizing things in the classroom, propagandizing, brainwashing kids. I mean, it was normal, and I suspect it's gotten much worse since I was a student in the 80s and 90s. Okay, so I'm convinced it's orders of magnitude worse, and in certainly places like Chicago. But you start to understand. Listen to how, for example, Jake Tapper frames the subject of this. I gotta play this clip here. This is Tapper talking to a DOJ person, Chad Mizell, and talking about the Alex Preddy shooting. And it's like Tapper's got his facts, and those are the facts. There's no other point of view allowed.
If you want to lay blame at somebody's feet, it is squarely on Tim Walz and the Minnesota officials who have called ICE the modern day Gestapo, who have told ICE to get the F out of our city, who have encouraged their citizens to protest against ICE, to blow whistles against ICE, to organize signal chats against ICE, not the signal chats thing directly, but all of that type of agitation has been heavily encouraged. And it's exactly that type of agitation that leads to unfortunate circumstances like we saw with Alex Preddy.
So you have an issue with the First Amendment. You don't think that people should be exercising their First Amendment rights to speak about policies that they don't like. You have more of a problem with that than you have with people killing American citizens.
What? Where did he say anything about the First Amendment? But again, right? The left wants to frame everything as a First Amendment issue, but the minute that a teacher writes "Go ICE" on his private Facebook page, he's going to be terminated, right? But if I say, and it's very important you understand the difference, right? I no point I have not heard anybody in the Trump administration, certainly not me as a host here on this program, say that Democrats, independents, even some disenchanted Republicans have every right to go stand on a corner and scream and shout and protest against ICE. The problem is when they're actually organizing an insurrection and a revolt and interfering in the police exercising their job, their function, regardless of whether, I'm not going to debate if the police are doing it lawfully or not. That's not their place. That's not their place. It's action, not words. You're now interfering. And you hear how snide Jake and like, okay, so you're fine with just Americans being killed in the streets. Like, that's just manifestly inflammatory and untrue. Well, it's untrue. Yeah, two Americans are dead, but I mean, you've got to understand why. I mean, so Renee, good. I love how people they're still bringing her up. They like the Alex Preddy situation more. And I saw, by the way, Trump today get up and say, yeah, I want a full investigation. I want to look into this. I absolutely want a full investigation. We're going to do a full investigation. And he keeps reiterating this. Trump keeps reiterating this. And and that's what I was saying from Monday on. I mean, it's to me absolutely clear. Let's investigate it. But again, these are wild takes. The reason that there's so much leftist inconsistency here is because they only care about winning. It's only about winning and raw political power. That's why on one hand, they're arguing for the First Amendment. On the other hand, they're making an argument that the teacher ought to be silenced because you can't say that. It's going to hurt people's feelings. And let me put a little aside here. I, for years on this program, have been talking about the danger that the left poses by framing hate speech or whatever speech, right? They call it hate speech. Framing any kind of speech as being physically injurious to people. Now, what do I mean by this? Remember when you were on the playground once upon a time, for me in the 80s, and I would go, oh, Mrs. Smith, somebody hurt my feelings. They said this mean thing to me. And the teacher would look at you and go, well, Sam, you should just say back, sticks and stones can break my bones and words can never hurt me. And that was the thing. And all of a sudden, schools, right, because the libs got together and came up with a plan, and it was very, very nefarious. All of a sudden, words could hurt you. Harm or offense. Look at all the anti-free speech statutes in Europe, particularly in the UK. They all talk about, well, if you say something, it can hurt and offend somebody. And the argument is, the legal argument, and this is the attack on the First Amendment in the US, the argument is that it's not speech, they're not words, it's actually tantamount to an assault. Because the standard, of course, is you can say pretty much whatever you want unless it causes a physical injury. So the prohibitions on speech, are very, very, very limited. But an assault is simple, harmful or offensive touching of another without privilege or consent. And that is that all of a sudden, if you could get words to hurt, if you can make that argument, if you can convince the Supreme Court someday after you've packed it full of justices like Ketanji Brown Jackson, get the court to say, oh yeah, you said a mean word, Sam. You called them the hard R word. Oh my gosh. And that hurt the little retard's feelings. I like going to jail. I mean, that's where things are in the UK. But, so the left will argue all for the First Amendment when it comes to them organizing an insurrection. And then when Trump holds a rally on January 6, 2021, and gets up there and says peacefully, go protest peacefully, they cut that part of the speech out and try to hang him for being an insurrectionist. There's no consistency with people because, again, it's all about raw political power. And incidentally, the people whipping up January 6th are some of the same people organizing this melee in Minnesota. Mark my words. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. I'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. This was a clip. I had this here yesterday. I just want to share it because I love it. Oh, it's so good. This is, speaking of churches, from a church in Raleigh, North Carolina. I used to live in Durham. I know right where this is. This bishop of a church, his name is Patrick L. Wooden, and he warned in his Sunday sermon, warned Don Lemon and protesters not to come to his church. And this isn't getting played, of course, on MS Now or CNN, but it ought to be. Listen to this guy.
Y'all see when them people invaded that church the other day? Now, I just want to say to protesters and all of them, don't do that here. Amen. Don Lemon, don't come here. You roll up in this church doing stuff like that, and it's going to be the Royal Rumble. And the funny thing is, I'm not joking. We have worked hard. We built the church in the name of the Lord. We dedicated it to the Lord. It's built for worship. Our blood, sweat, tears, and finances are in this place. And some people who have never darkened the door of the church and never contributed one dime to it, gonna roll up in here and disturb our service and scare our children and shout obscenities in the church. That will not stand in this church. That will not stand. That's not going to stand.
Well, that perfect sense, right? Perfect sense. By the way, I love this. This is the best response to those people that blasted into that St. Paul church 2 weeks ago, this coming Sunday. Or what? Yeah, it's just absolutely. Oh, by the way, today, fireworks on Capitol Hill. Marco Rubio getting grilled in Congress. And here's Tammy Duckworth. Tammy Duckworth. Here is her talking and questioning Rubio. And just Tammy Duckworth, poor lady, she is out of her depth.
And what's in the realm of the Department of State.
Well,
I think your question is better directed to the Department of Justice.
Enemies Act,
but I would tell you
which is a wartime, which is something that
but you're asking me a question that
can be invoked during wartime.
But you're
It's
asking
only
me a
been
question
invoked during the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II.
You're
it's only been invoked 3 times, and this president is invoking it.
Okay, you're asking me a question about the domestic application of a law that's best directed to the Department of Justice.
It's
no,
not
it
complication.
is because you're asking me
simple.
something to opine on something that's in the realm of the Department of Justice in terms of its domestic application. I can tell you that the United States is most certainly confronting terrorist and criminal organizations operating in our hemisphere that pose a grave danger to the United States. Anyone who believes that gangs that flood our country with fentanyl or cocaine are not threats to the United States is not living in reality and certainly does not reflect the opinion of most Americans.
Well, the winning response to this came from our own Vice President, J.D. Vance, who retweeted this clip of this video with, quote, watching Tammy Duckworth obsessively interrupt Marco Rubio is like watching Forrest Gump argue with Isaac Newton. You guys, and by the way, what's the takeaway? Why is this all important other than it's a good laugh? This is our deep bench of talent. We've got J.D. Vance, who's funny and who's personable and who's getting better by the day, in my opinion. And we've got this Marco Rubio guy who's exceptional too. And then we've got Hegseth, right? We've got some real all-stars who are coming into their own. And you know, they're right now they're pushing on Kristi Noem to, do you see this? Do you see that Jeffries threw down the gauntlet and said if Noem isn't fired or doesn't resign, they're going to initiate impeachment proceedings against her? Yeah, play the clip.
You put out a statement yesterday that said dramatic changes at the Department of Homeland Security are needed. Kristi Noem should be fired immediately, or we will commence impeachment proceedings. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Does that mean you now support the effort to try and impeach Kristi Noem?
Yeah, Donald Trump needs to fire Kristi Noem immediately. We know that she is a malignant, corrupt, pathological liar. She's unqualified. She never should have been confirmed by Republicans in the United States Senate. She is creating harm to the American people. Taxpayer dollars are actually being used by the Department of Homeland Security to kill American citizens and to brutalize law-abiding immigrant families. That's unacceptable. So she's got to go.
Short of him firing her, you support him moving towards impeachment?
We will commence impeachment proceedings against Kristi Noem in the absence of her being fired.
Ooh, oh no. What will Trump do without Kristi Noem? I mean, can we, first of all, this throwing down the gauntlet, if that's what it is to Trump, is never going to work. I mean, good luck with that, Hakeem. But the other part of this is Kristi Noem is, when she got nominated, were you excited? Was anybody really that excited? What was my reaction when it happened, Robbie? Whatever. Does Kristi Noem actually run the department? I mean, right? She's not the operative drive. What does right now? It's Tom Homan, right? And this Greg Bovino's a personality of force too. But there's so many great rank and file officers. Every time one of these ICE agents gets caught on camera saying something, they're dedicated to the mission. Man, this is like the best department in the country. You lose the person at the top, the cabinet secretary. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm like the Democrats are chasing ghosts. If they got what they are asking for, if they got what they're asking for. What a Pyrrhic victory that would be. Meaning, what a empty victory, right? Just of no importance, of no effect. Well, I mean, I'll die on the Hill for Pete Hegseth, right? Or Marco Rubio. Honestly, even RFK Jr. at this point, I really like him. We have great people. Of course. Scott Bessent, a killer. He is a killer. He is an assassin. So not everybody's a 10 out of 10. And I mean, I'm not here to back down or anything. I'm just being honest with you. I don't think Kristi Noem is all that great. And she's got this hanky-panky thing going on with Corey Lewandowski. And Corey Lewandowski, everybody that's ever met him and dealt with Corey thinks he's a weasel. I'm not going to lie. And I know, I don't know, but I am reasonably certain that Trump is uneasy with Corey Lewandowski, who was Trump's campaign manager for a while, and they had a certain falling out. Uneasy with him being basically a designated special employee consultant working together with his, they've got a thing going on. Is that, Robbie? Is that the case? I mean, I don't want to say something that isn't true. There have been allegations. I'll put it this way. There have been allegations that the two of them had a thing. And whether or not that thing was known to their spouses at the time, whatever. Something along those lines. But could all be just a rumor. I'm saying I've heard things. So it's a little bit of a sloppy mess. But we've got this deep bench of talent. And who do they have? Pritzker, Newsom, Hakeem Jeffries, blah, 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 Tammy Duckworth. I mean, who do they have? Who do you look at on the Democrat side? Boy, that Pete Buttigieg is he's going to go in there and slay it. I mean, he'll go in and slay it, but he's not going to slay it. It's all in how you say it, Robbie. I'm telling you, intonation is everything. Oh, boy. Okay. Who have I pissed off today? Pretty much everybody. I gotta run. It's the top of the hour. Folks, I'll be back tomorrow. Fear not. We got this. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Over and out.